Hey y'all, it's Ilana and welcome back to my channel. So for this video, I wanted to talk about how I had a nightmare of a roommate when I was living in San Francisco. So if you're ready for me to spill on the tea on this horrible person, we're about to get into it right now. Okay, so you're probably wondering, how did I even get into this situation in the first place? So back in June, my old roommate, who happened to be the master tenant at the time, moved out because his student visa was about to expire. He couldn't renew it or apply for an H-1B visa, so he had to return back to his home country, and he was responsible for finding a replacement roommate so he would not forfeit his deposit. So he found somebody that he went to school with, and I thought that this guy was going to be exactly like how my old roommate was. Chill, awesome, laid back, very low maintenance. Well, I was very wrong. This guy ended up not being a good fit at all. So let's just talk a little bit more about how it became such a big mess and how it became such a toxic living situation. He saw me in the apartment and he had told me that he had spotted bed bugs, and I was just like, oh my god, okay, let me notify our landlord's wife. Let's call her Trisha. And so I texted Trisha letting her know that my roommate, and let's call him Jim, saw bed bugs in the apartment. So she wanted to make an appointment with pest control. And I wanted to tell my roommate about this. So then he sends me a text saying, so I'm coming back with a new bed bug spray. This time it will kill them for sure, plus it is odorless. And the reason he got odorless one was because the one that he originally bought smelled so bad and I could barely breathe and it stunk up the whole apartment. Very impatient about this whole process, and the fact that he didn't even trust our landlord's wife to get this covered was very problematic, and I just really didn't like how he handled the situation. I understand having bugs and getting bitten is very frustrating, but you need to react to this in a much more calm manner. Elsa, this is not about you right now. And now I'm gonna show you a whole thread of text messages from when he sent a group chat to me and my other roommate, Morgan. I just don't want to read every single text message word for word because that would take so much time. So feel free to pause and read and keep it scrolling. Text messages were exchanged. He texted me on June 28th saying, when you get home, vacuum your room and spray with the anti-flea spray that you have, thanks. And I said, how about you ask nicely? I don't respond to orders. And he said, can you do it? Why do you think it is an order? It's what you should do in the first place since you have a pet to keep in your room. Clean and don't affect lives of the people who live with you. There's nothing to be upset about here. We're all adults. I can use a gentler tone if you want, but I'm not saying anything bad about you. It's just the way I talk. My point is to simply collaborate and get rid of the fleas once and for all. And I said, you could have said please, and I was already planning on doing it after our previous texting thread. The reminder came across as demanding and passive-aggressive. I already cleaned, but fleas are aggressive. Please know I am doing my best, and it's not my fault because fleas get tracked in regardless of who comes in. I'm with you to collaborate. We just need to do it in a respectful and tactful manner. That's all. I will be getting home later tonight. And you didn't ask me. You said clean your room, which is an order and comes across as demanding. That's where I was coming from. And he said, I'm sorry if it came out that way or if I offended you. God. That is just the way I talk. I'm direct and straight to the point with anyone. And I said, I think you meant to say, I'm sorry I offended you. When you say, I'm sorry if it puts blame on me and invalidates how I feel. I learned that a while back and I'm trying to do better with it as well. But agreed, let's just put this behind us and move forward. And he said, all right, I agree with you. So all was good, right? And then when I get home, I noticed that my door was closed and he had locked my cat in my room, and I got very mad about that. So I sent him a text saying, all I ask is to please not lock my cat in my room. She has the right to roam freely in the apartment. This doesn't prevent anything. Fleas can still go underneath the door crack and again can be tracked in from outside. And then later he texted me, did you vacuum your room? And I said, yeah, last night. And he said, thanks. I still some fleas in my room. I think he meant to say I still see some fleas in my room. Do you think it'd be a good idea to get back from someone from the pest company to clean up? Not sure if you had a chance to speak to Rick and Trisha about this, Rick being my landlord. Did they give you a quote when they came yesterday? And he said the guy said that he would call Rick about it. I haven't heard from him since. And I said, got it. Rick reported back to the same thing about the flea thing. We get the pest control scheduled on a Saturday, and with the rules with the pest control coming is that everyone has to be at an apartment, including the pets, and rugs can't be on the floor. I had time in my morning to go to the gym since I was still on prep at the time to quickly go to the gym, get my workout in, and then come back and prepare the house for pest control since I had the time. So I leave the apartment and homeboy decides to not mind his business by texting me saying, I think your floor rug is still on the floor. And I said, I'm coming back, went to the gym to do cardio, and he said, oh, okay, got it. That was so annoying. It's like, mind your own business, dude. I'm not irresponsible. I don't need you to remind me of things. So now I'm gonna show you the exchange of the text messages where he got very mad and very rude when the second treatment didn't get scheduled. So feel free to pause and read everything because he was just so rude in the way that he handled this. I could not fathom it. I just want to let you know that it was the pest control's responsibility to schedule a second follow-up with me, and they didn't do that. So then it had to be my responsibility to follow up with them after they never scheduled something with me. So then there wasn't a lot of communication for the whole month. I basically tried to avoid him after he handled this whole flea debacle thing. He just tried to remind me of what our landlord said, and also just keep in mind he's a subtenant who has no legal rights to this apartment at all. I'm the master tenant, mind you, so he can't evict me. So finally I get the second treatment scheduled on a Wednesday. I got to work from home that day. I had a coworker who lived down the street from me also working from home, and so I was able to take my cat and my work over there. But again, same thing. I had time to go to the gym before all this happened and before work. And so then he texted me saying, Elsa's still at home. And he said, the treatment is scheduled today, right? And I said, again, I went to the gym. It's at 11:30. And he goes, oh, I see. It's like, mind your own business. We fast forward to August 25th. That was the weekend of my Golden State competition. I had Morgan watching my cat because I don't trust this dude. And he texted me saying, it's been days since you came back home. Did you feed your cat? I said Morgan fed her. My competition was this weekend. Also want to let you know that Morgan's moving out. They're going to pay September rent and they'll be responsible for finding a replacement, just giving you a heads up. Now I'm going to show you a new exchange of text messages where he complained about the do not ring doorbell sign. And the reason I made this sign was to A, tell the crazy people who ring our doorbell over and over again that we're not going to answer the door for people that we don't know. And B, to tell people who are trying to visit apartment 1234A, because we were apartment 1234, and apartment 1234A is the garage, meaning that you have to go through the garage to get to those units, and there isn't a doorbell. So I just am kindly redirecting people that you need to call and text those people to let them know that you were there. It has nothing to do for the mail delivery services, which you're about to read in the exchange of text messages right now. on September 23rd, I had to notify him that the rent was going up because Morgan was unable to find a replacement roommate and therefore his deposit was going to be forfeited. So let me share the text with you that I sent to him saying, "Hi Jim, I don't have the best news for you and I need you to not respond poorly to it. Please remain calm and level-headed through this. It is very important for you to know what is happening so you can be prepared for next month. I just spoke to Morgan and he was unable to find a replacement roommate. His deposit is going to be forfeited and it won't be returned to him since that was a house verbal agreement. Unfortunately, this means rent is going up to $1,650 for the both of us, and we were all originally paying $1,100. That being said, as the master tenant of the apartment who has full legal rights and the rule maker of the apartment, I need to have roommate stability. The living room has been made that hard to have because it's not a private space. I can no longer have people living there for a short amount of time. I'm absolutely over it, and it's not fair. The living room is going to become a living room again. It was first started by Craig when he was a master tenant and I had my old crappy job back in the day so we could still afford the place. Now I'm at a place in my life where I can actually pay $1,650 for my room. I understand if that's not affordable for you. If you do have to move out, you will still get your deposit back of $1,167 as long as you find a replacement. I will definitely give you some time to do that and to find a new place as well. This will technically be your 30 days notice, but I will give you until October 31st. However, the new person will need to meet the following requirements: have a stable salary 9-to-5 job, no students, no couples, and nobody making under $50K. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to have that anymore. And they need to be in their mid to late 20s/early 30s because I was really tired of living with people who were really younger than me and they were all extremely irresponsible. And they can't hate cats or be allergic to cats. I recommend posting the place on Facebook housing groups and Craigslist. Rent would be $1,650, deposit $1,750. Please let me know if you need help with that because I know lots of great groups. If you were able to afford the place at $1,650, then you're good. You won't have to stress, and obviously you can stay, which I totally regret saying. And once again, I'm really sorry for the shitty news. Thanks for your understanding. So he basically asked that the rent was going to go up. I said yes. He said this month is still $1,100. I'm like, yeah, but you already paid for it. So he then called me because he was very confused. He was like, I don't understand why you're notifying me at last minute. Well, that's because Morgan notified me last minute, so it kind of screwed us over both. So he said, well, I'm still going to pay $1,100. So he made me pay more money and made me pay an extra $500 that I didn't have, and it financially hurt me. He told me he was going to pay me back $500 that I had to pay, and guess what? This mother effer did not pay me back at all. So he literally scammed me out of $500 just because he couldn't come up with the rent. It was so unfair that I had to cover for him when I shouldn't have had to do that in the first place. So that made me so mad. On November 1st, I was at work in a meeting. He called me 3 times. And I was so annoyed because I had a really good feeling that this wasn't even that important. So then he sends me a text message. Have you seen my udon that I have left in the fridge? Did you eat it? And I said, seeing as I have no idea what udon is, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that, I don't really eat Asian food. The answer is no. I'd also never eat your food, and I have a selective diet. Maybe you left it somewhere and forgot about it, because he generally does forget things. It would take him like 5 times to leave the apartment because it seems like he would always forget something. Honestly, he's a really stupid person. Anyway, I said, maybe you left it somewhere and forgot about it. If that's what you called me about 3 times when I wasn't able to answer, I'm going to ask you to not do that again because that's extremely necessary. A simple text is all you have to do. And he said, I got you. I was either looking to cook dinner or eat outside. That's why the rush. And I was like, okay, whatever. But that was just so annoying. Then I had to ask him a quick question after that. And I said, also, I need to know if this is your last month in the apartment. I wasn't sure how clear it was when you said you were staying for another month and if that meant 1 more month. So I just wanted to get clarification. He said, oh, okay. Yeah, I can afford staying. In case I change plans, I'll let you know a month in advance. And I said, thanks. And I was so mad that he was able to stay. Ugh. I was like, great, I'm still stuck with this dirty human being. On November 5th, I got a text from my landlord saying, Jim didn't pay his rent. Can you follow up with him? And I said, sure. So then I texted Jim saying, hey, Ricky said he didn't get rent from you. Please don't forget to pay rent. And he said, I know on Friday I'm getting my check. So I'm going to show you a group of text messages of him giving me a 30 days notice that he can't afford the place anymore and he's planning on moving out. And just wait for this drama because it's so annoying. But just remember, he gave me a 30 days notice. So just remember this. I'm going to get into this in a little bit. he gave me a 30 days notice that December was going to be his last month in the apartment, I had to start looking for a replacement roommate since he wasn't going to do it. So I found someone who was interested in the room. So I sent him this text on November 30th saying, hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Water is $15. Also, someone will be coming on the 4th around 7 to 7:30 to see the room. So please keep your door unlocked if you'll be at work then. I promise your stuff will be safe and untouched. I'll be back late Tuesday night. Then he replies back with a really rude response saying, I don't like your way of doing things at all. It's despicable. You can't force me to move out on your terms. The house is not yours. You are not the landlord. Let's see what Trisha and Ricky have to say about this. I'm not moving you out on my own terms. You told me you couldn't afford the apartment anymore and you'd be out at the end of the year. He literally gave me a 30 days notice and you only have 5 days to rescind that notice. I was really annoyed with the situation, so he said, I can afford it now, so what's up? So I said, why couldn't you tell me this earlier? Well, now you know. And I said to him, and FYI, Jim, I am your landlord and the master tenant. You are a subtenant and have no legal rights to this apartment. I have told you before that I could legally evict you for whatever reasons, and not being able to afford rent is one. Look up the SF housing laws. Ricky and Trisha wouldn't care because it's not their issue to deal with, and also they are not even supposed to have contact with any subtenants whatsoever. But if you're going to be rude and disrespectful to me, which you've been in the past, then I would ask you to leave. So following up on our text messages, just to be clear, you did give me the notice that you were moving out in December. Then you asked for an extension through December 2019, and I agreed to it. As of December 31st, you need to be out. As a subtenant, you are required to allow access to the room during this time so I can show it to prospective tenants since you refuse to find a new one. San Francisco laws say that once you give your notice to leave, you do not have the right to rescind it, unless the master tenant agrees, and I do not. So again, just to restate, I have someone coming to see the place on Wednesday night, therefore I need the bedroom door to be unlocked. Whenever I have people coming to see the room, it will need to be locked, and I will let you know as soon as I do. Then he was like, well, let me talk to Trisha and Ricky. And I said, there's nothing to talk about with them. This is between you and me. They're the true landlords, and I stand equally on the terms of the house. I said, feel free to look up the SF laws, but this is how it is. Wednesday, I am showing your room. So now I'm going to show you the remaining exchanges where he basically threatens to sue me if I were to break in. So I'll just roll those clips for you really quick. So I didn't reply back to any of those text messages because A, he cannot sue me if I went to show his room. So let me just state that there is a law that protects landlords and master tenants have landlord capability, so I had every single right, lawful right that is, to show his room. All I have to do is give him a 24 hours notice, and it doesn't matter if they consent to it or not, because I am legally allowed to show off the apartment to prospective tenants. So he can't sue me. It's not a privacy violation. I'm literally complying to the law. And then he was like, you can talk to my lawyer friend. I'm like, talking to your lawyer friend wouldn't do anything because he would say the same thing. So I didn't reply back to any of this because it's just not worth to argue with stupid. So on December 3rd, he once again complains for an expensive electric bill, and he's always complained about the electric bill. So I got charged a deposit on my account. Apparently when I was a new PG&E customer, you eventually get charged a deposit. So this was the month where I got charged, but he needed to pay for his share of this too. So he was mad that he had to pay over $200 of PG&E bills, and he didn't believe me when I explained it to him. So here we go. I saw the bill for PG&E, $275.70. What is the deposit you're talking about? Apparently it's because the account is new and new customers have to put it down at some point. I already spoke to them. There's nothing much we can do. Is it one time only? And I said, yes, just once. Then he, again, doesn't believe me and he needs proof, saying, can you show me a photo of the bill for the PG&E? Thank you. And I said, why? For the account thing. I just want a screenshot of the bill. And I said, okay, hang on. So I show it to him. There it is. On the PG website, they say that the deposit is issued after the first bill for new customers. When did you talk to him? Did you ask why it's showing up now instead? And I said, it never got issued to me. And I talked to them like a week ago. And yeah, they said because it never got issued and paid, it came up. It's only a one-time thing. The bill would only have been $54.50 on your end if the deposit didn't go through. I'm sorry, I know it's crappy and expensive. I'm unhappy about it too. So he says, I got you. End conversation. Now we fast forward where I had to give my 30 days notice to my landlord and to him that I was moving out since I lost my job. I didn't tell him that I lost my job. The way I disguised it was that I was just working from home and I had flexible hours, because if I had told him I had lost my job, he would not have had any sympathy for me. He would have considered it to be problematic and that he would request me to move out, even though, again, he's got no legal rights to do that because he's a subtenant. So I just didn't tell him because it's honestly none of his business. So I'm going to read the text message that I sent to him explaining me moving out. So I said, water for December is $22. I'm also letting you know that I will be moving out during the last week of January. I've already given my notice to Ricky and Trisha. That being said, me moving out is going to terminate the lease and you will have to move out as well. Please start being proactive and finding a new place to live ASAP so you don't become homeless. If you have things you don't want, please get rid of them as they cannot be left behind. SF311 will be your best friend in getting rid of items you don't want. It's free. You will also need to take your current doorknob off and change it back to the original doorknob that came with the apartment. It's already a lease violation that I've been letting you get away with, so please make sure the original doorknob is back on when you leave. Sorry for the bad news, but I hope you find another great and cheaper place to live. Thank you for your understanding and best of luck to you. So the whole doorknob thing, my old roommate had changed that doorknob so he could lock his room up, and then my roommate used it as well. But to lease violation, you're not allowed to change the doorknob. And he texted me back saying, why you moving out means that the lease is terminated. I appreciate you giving me the notice this early though. But isn't like if you find a new person, the house can still be rented? And I said, great question. When the master tenant leaves the apartment, subtenants must evacuate since they don't have legal rights to the apartment and aren't on the lease. That is the law, and that is what the lease says. And of course, I never be inconsiderate like that. Plus, it's also the law to give a 30 days notice. And I said, unfortunately, no. I already talked to Trisha, and she said no to you being the master tenant because I already tried to ask, like how it happened when Craig left. And he said, oh, I understand. And apparently he harassed Trisha saying, what's going on? Ilana's moving out. Why can't I stay? Can I please stay? And Trisha was saying, I'm not really supposed to be communicating with you, but that's what the law says with master tenants moving out. This is between you and her. I've tried to explain housing laws to him over and over again, and he never wants to listen or believe me because he's just so stubborn and thinks he knows it all when he doesn't. It's a huge responsibility to be a master tenant, and you gotta know the San Francisco housing laws in order to be a master tenant. And I was always lawful with him. He just didn't care. I also want to mention, during that same day where I told him I was moving out, he also asked me, hey Ilana, if we're all moving out, will we get our deposit back then, right? And I said yes. And he said, okay, good. I will get it and then give you back your share. And then I talked about needing to paint the walls in the living room so they don't take anything out of it. And he said, okay, thanks. But turns out I didn't have to do that at all. My landlord said that it actually wasn't a big problem. It's just normal wear and tear. And I was thinking, okay, cool. So I get back home for my holiday break and I noticed that there's this really ugly jacket in front of my door. And there's a note saying, Merry Christmas, Jim. I was really confused as to why he gave me a jacket because him and I didn't get along. And here's the thing, while the jacket was not my style, I thought it was super ugly. I just had a huge issue with the fact that the sleeve was completely dirty and it looks like someone on it. I was more mad at the fact that he gave me a dirty jacket. So I texted him saying, thanks for the jacket, you didn't need to. And he goes, it's Christmas. And I was like, well, you do know I'm Jewish, right? I'm just curious to know why it's dirty. And he goes, I didn't realize it was dirty until after I bought it. One wash should be fine. I'm just like, if you're gonna give a jacket or an article of clothing to a person as a gift, do not give them something that is dirty. You know what you do, Jim? You go back to the store, you say, I'm giving this as a gift to my roommate, I need to return it because there's stuff all over the sleeve. That's what you do. But we all know that this guy is completely stupid and doesn't have brain cells. Like there's nothing up there. So this didn't surprise me at all. So on January 17th, out of nowhere, he messaged me saying, I'm moving out tomorrow. I'll leave the keys on the kitchen table before I leave. And I said, okay, thanks for letting me know. Please don't forget to change your doorknob back and remove all furniture and belongings or it will come out of your deposit. So I'm just here doing a happy dance because I'm like, yes, he's leaving before me, woo! And then he texted me back saying, the doorknob, I don't know where is the old one. Such bad grammar. When I moved in, it was the way it is now, so that's not something I can do. I said, Craig did it, I'd ask him, he said, okay. So then he said, there are furniture that don't belong to me. They belong to Craig, like the table, the computer, and stuff. And I said, unfortunately, you'll need to dump it. SF31 will pick it up from the curb. It simply can't stay in the apartment. That is sadly Craig's problem for not getting rid of it. Those are Trisha's orders, not mine. And also, Craig's problem became his problem. If you want your deposit back, Jim, you need to get rid of everything and clean up. And he said, okay, I understand, but if it was Craig's problem, why will I be charged for my deposit if I cannot get rid of it? You can get rid of it, Jim. You're just being lazy and not using your brain and thinking of resources. When I gave you a resource in the first place that can help you get rid of stuff for free, and I know you have friends who could help you get rid of that furniture. So then I said to him, because Trisha and Ricky will have to pay for it to dump it, which isn't fair to them, the dump fees would come out of that deposit. It's already unfair to the both of us that so many irresponsible people before us left shit for us to deal with. So a lot of people who lived in the apartment before us left so much stuff behind, and guess who was responsible for cleaning out everything? So now that he's moved out, I go through his room and he left everything behind. So let me show you a TikTok video of how he left his room. Okay, so my POS asshole roommate moved out and he left all this stuff here, leaving it up for me. But at least he's gone. See all of this shit here? I have to get rid of that myself. He gets none of his deposit back. I'll get at least $3,000 back, yeah! And now I'm going to show you how he left the bathroom because it's absolutely disgusting. Okay, I'm going to show you the state of the bathroom. He left it. It smells horrible. Oh my god, you see the floor? Oh, I want to throw up. That shower. Y'all, this is how this disgusting pig took showers. Like, ew! How? And then here is the thing. Oh, I can't be in here anymore. It smells so horrible. I was just absolutely appalled. So the next day after Jim moved out, I ran into my landlord and our building's housekeeper lady, let's call her B, and we did a small walkthrough of how Jim left the place, and they were appalled. My landlord was so disgusted and very mad at what he had done, and he documented everything, and then he told Trisha about it, and Trisha called me saying, I can't believe someone behaved like that. He's definitely not getting his deposit back. Even Ricky told me right to my face that we are not going to return him his deposit. He doesn't deserve it. This is absolutely unacceptable. So then I decided to just block Jim's number and never deal with him ever again. And so, apparently when you block someone on your iPhone, it doesn't necessarily translate to your MacBook because I have iMessage set up to that. So then on the 29th, which was a Wednesday, this mother ever had the audacity to text me, and I got an iMessage from my computer and my heart sunk because I was like, no, I blocked him. How is he texting me? So I read the message and it said, hey Ilana, do you have any update on deposit processing time? Like, does it come on the 1st of February or not? Thanks. So what I do is I immediately block his contact on my computer, and then I unblock him on my phone, and I sent him this long nasty text message because I was so mad. So I said, I can't even believe you have the audacity to ask me when you're getting your deposit back after how you left the place. You left the bathroom in such disgusting shape and left everything behind in your room. You were told by both me and B that you had to clean up and get rid of everything in your room, whether it was yours or not. We even gave you a free resource to help you, SF311, but you decided to be self-centered and not care. I warned you that money would come out of your deposit, but you refused to listen to / believe me like you always do. You made zero effort to clean up and get rid of this stuff, even the small, lightweight stuff. Your actions have consequences which severely costed you. I saw Ricky at the apartment the day after you moved out, and we did a walkthrough of how you left the place. He documented everything and took pictures. Ricky and Trisha were horrified at your actions, and so am I. They told me they will be completely forfeiting your deposit since you left such a mess. So expect nothing from me or them. You could have gotten it back if you had just listened to me and cleaned up after yourself. You can whine, complain, and throw a tantrum all you want, but it's completely fair that you get nothing back. The three of us had to remove everything from your room, plus they had to hire cleaners to clean the bathroom and remove the heavy furniture from your room. Please do not ever contact me again. You're officially blocked. So then I blocked him immediately after I texted him so he could not reply back to me. I had the last word. It felt great, but I was so mad that he even thought it was okay for him to ask, when am I getting my deposit back? Never. So if there's one good thing about having to move from San Francisco and losing my job is that I finally got to terminate this horrible living situation. And I'm so glad that I just never have to deal with it ever again. I blocked him on everything so he can never contact me. And if he somehow is able to contact me again, ignore and block and delete. I deleted his number. Just, have you had a crazy roommate story like this? A really bad roommate? Let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.